We'll have to see if we're on the air. I'll check my phone in just a second. If you're here with us, we had a technical malfunction, and we have just began this broadcast here of Washington Township and Kingsway. Yes, we are on the air. All right, so both teams have taken the field. We'll talk more about these guys in just a moment, even though our pregame show kind of got cut short. It is going to be a fun one. Last time these two teams played each other, it was a 52-23 matchup in favor of Washington Township. And yes, we are going to try to manage that glare as best as we can. But at the moment, there's the JROTC of Kingsway. I mean, these are two big schools. The marching band might have more players than the football team does, honestly. I mean, you know, this is a place at Tony Bakchuk Field that has some of the most amazing pregame spectacles that we have really ever seen in South Jersey. And with, you know, Kingsway winning these last 4 or 5 matchups between Washington Township and the Dragons, Washington Township had the most recent one, 52-23 last year. We will resume that chat after the national anthem.
By Kingsway's own junior Ahi Mohal.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glares above bursting in air gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sing does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the lands of the brave and the home of the brave. Thank you.
Somebody needs to get her on American Idol stat.
Ahi
Mahima Paul, the Kingsway student who just ripped that national anthem absolutely.
Your officials for this evening, side judges, it's her turn.
I thought the window in front of me was going to shatter for a second. I mean, that was amazing. But you know what else is going to be amazing? Tonight's ball game between Washington Township and Kingsway. Our pregame show cut a little short, but these two teams are a battle of
Slinging quarterbacks. Both QBs, Cole Aquino, the sophomore, and David Oravets of Kingsway, both underclassmen, and both coming into this game with well over 1,000 career passing yards. Not every quarterback in South Jersey, not even every Group 5 or Group 4 quarterback in South Jersey can hold that title. But these guys are ready to go. Like we said, 52-23 the last time these two teams faced off with 75 combined points, and it's always been that way. 24-10 2 years ago, 21-14 in 2021, and in the COVID season of 2020, it was 35-28. And that was an overtime thriller, a double overtime thriller that didn't even have your first score until the second quarter. Kingsway in their black jerseys tonight. And listen to, listen to this with the kind of digital orchestra in the background, but instead, we switch gears. I'm Dan Wilkins with Vincent Folk tonight. Washington Township won the toss. They elect to kick, and they will receive the ball to begin the second half of tonight's contest. Here from Anthony Barchuk Field, we've got 48 minutes of exhilarating Kingsway and Washington Township football right here, right now. We are underway. Goes back to the 10, picked up by the Dragons. He finds some room. He's got a couple of blockers in front of him. He is still on his feet across the 50, and he is taken down to a standing ovation from the 45. Well, that was an exclamation point from Mason Bryan. That's exactly what you want. Coming off of a loss, last year versus this team with a lot on the line, that is exactly what you wanted. Not only does that give you field position, that's amazing, that also gives you great confidence with your teammates as well. They know they can get the job done if you put in the work.
Yeah, I mean, this is something where you got great field position right off the bat. This offense, once they get rolling, are just completely, dangerous. We saw it last week with their big win against Clearview. We'll see what they have to do here.
And that was a win versus the winless Pioneers that they scored 34 points in the first quarter. Here's David Orovets in the shotgun. He's got 3 receivers to his right. That's Bryan, Hibbs, and Johnson. Here he goes. Dumps the pass off to the left, over the shoulder. It's caught, and Luca Lentini, the sophomore receiver, takes it in. But like we said, this is a battle of the quarterbacks, and we're going to talk about David Orovets throughout the course of tonight. But he is a junior that really is going to lead this Kingsway team for a while. Like we said, 14 career touchdowns. He's at 1,393 career passing yards, and this year holding a passing completion rate of over 55%. He's got 6 TDs, 3 interceptions, and a longest attempt of 49 yards this season. Those are your fast facts of tonight's game presented by Harper Driving School. We'll talk about them in just a moment. Here comes a handoff. No, it'll be a keeper for Orovets. Actually, no, I got faked out twice. Sometimes you got to let a play out before you speak on it. But yeah, Colton Nick, the sophomore, was the one who took care of that, and that will be enough to carry the ball across for a Kingsway first down. Working quickly here after they drop the chains. Just working with some glare on the camera with the window pane. I'm sure that it looks like with the trees of Woolwich and Gloucester County in the background, we should not have to worry about that after about 30 minutes. Here comes a pass caught by Denick. Finds some space, and he's got a host of Minutemen on him. It will go to the 31. Denick with 336 rushing yards in his rookie campaign. He only had 5 receptions for 63 yards going into tonight. He already has 2. Denick again on the carry. He has 8 touchdowns for Kingsway. He scored 3 in the Dragons' 29-3 victory over Hamilton. I mean, look, it's not easy to go from having your first 3 games of the year all at home to having 3 crucial divisional matchups on the road. That's a tough pill to swallow for any high school team is playing back-to-back weeks on the road. How about that blocking from Orovets there upfield? I mean, he is it's a stark contrast from what we saw with Hayden Baker and Cherry Hill West last night, where he was probably the most agile and mobile quarterback I've seen in a long time. He basically is, what the NFL fans like to call a quarter running back. Basically indistinguishable. On 4th and short, first down marker is at the 24 rather. Washington Township says it's theirs. And the visiting crowd reacts as such. That'll be a turnover on downs. So Kingsway plays up tempo and instead crashes the cymbal. That'll be a turnover on downs. And the Minutemen take over with Cole Aquino, the sophomore quarterback for the Minutemen. Here this afternoon, he has a freshman, had 14 passing touchdowns, including 4, a 4-piece versus Holy Spirit back in September of 2023. He's up over 2,500 passing yards in his very young career, and I'm excited to see what he can do. Rolling out to the right side He's going to scramble. Oh, he gets leveled, and there comes a late flag in. That was on the far sideline as Aquino ended up getting hit well below the waist. He basically became, he became a car dealership balloon for a second there. Had some airtime, and as we said, a late flag came in as a result over near the township sideline. There's head coach Mike Schatzman down there. If you're just joining us, Washington Township took over on a Kingsway turnover on downs.
Personal foul.
We will have a personal foul on the Dragons. Definitely some adverse reactions after that play, at least from the Kingsway faithful, but that also might just be a byproduct of, you know, seeing things with rose-colored glasses, as we like to say. So the first flag of the game is followed by another whistle. They'll make a quick personnel change for the Dragons before the snap. Coming out was Dominic Hibbs. Coming in, Tommy Gardner. Sending a man in motion. Aquino hands off. Drives it over the middle. Got a gain of 5 or 6 there. It'll be second down at mid-range. Trailing towards the shorter side, they are across the 50. The NJ Athletics Instagram page actually listed this game as one of the games of the week throughout the entire state, which I don't know if that was the play that they wanted to draw up, because Aquino was about to hand it off to Casper the Friendly Ghost. It is Halloween season, however, that is a neutral game. Nick on the tackle, and it's from the 20. And right now in South Jersey Group 5 rankings, as of this week, Washington Township coming in at 5-2 is third in the power rankings according to NJ Athletics. And with the power points as well, they're hanging right around the top 5 as well. Third down and 3. Gets tugged, and this is, I don't know.
He may have gotten that with forward progress, right? Looking at it right on the line.
I'm not sure, to be quite honest with you. They say it is, and it'll be a first down for the Minutemen from the 45. So with NJ Athletics power rankings, they had Toms River North undefeated in the short conference. The Mariners, I'm pretty sure, at 7-0. Atlantic City and the Vikings, they've got a superstar list of players there, down there in the Cape Atlantic. This one's a line drive pass. It's caught. He sheds off a couple of tacklers, and that should be good for another Township first down. Pass complete to... Looks like that was the wide receiver junior, Jake Weiser. Actually, I'm sorry, no, that's number 12 that made the catch there, Kirtan Patel. Unless NJ.com's roster is wrong. Aquino, handoff to the right side. He finds some space. He's got a first down, and he tiptoes his way into the red zone for the Minutemen. Beeler on the carry for the Minutemen. That will be another first down for the rusher, the class of 26 junior that has already picked up 650 rushing yards this season. He's had 3 games with over 100 rushing yards, including 157 for 3 TDs in a 28-7 season opening win over the Pennsauken Indians, who we saw last night. They beat Cherry Hill West 27-10. Another carry to Beeler. Aquino is putting the trust in his hands, and on another first down, as we reach the midway point of the first quarter. Danick has been everywhere tonight. He has been the primary rushing target. He has been mentioned several times on terms of defensive prowess, picking up a couple tackles. And if you can be a team that can have somebody that can dominate on both sides of the ball, well, guess what? College coaches will be yearning for those stats. As look at this pile drive forward. How about that? I mean, that was basically a hit and run right there. Osborne on the carry, and now they are inside the 5. They are right near the goal line, looking for the touchdown. We've got a heap of everybody on the goal line, and it's a touchdown, Minutemen. That was Andrew Osborne, who took care of business. And 5 minutes and 21 seconds remaining in the first. They are the ones to strike first. This will be kicked by number 27, Luke Sheets. It's up, away, and no good. I didn't see where that went, but anywho, the sun is setting, and Kingsway is just getting started. They'll get their first, maybe their first full offensive drive, as Washington Township took advantage of a turnover on downs and took it to the house. We'll be right back after this. Cheerleaders being festive as always and being supportive of their Kingsway Dragons, but Washington Township has first blood here from, I guess Dragons and Fire and Blood will be perfect adjectives for that, but here from Tony Barchuk Field. It is a beautiful Friday night here from Woolwich Township. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Friday night. We'll bring you out-of-town scores in just a moment. The ball is bobbled on the return, and it is returned to the 31 by number 34, Ruben Pitts.
By number 34, Calvin Lewis.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at Washington Township's roster. We're human, folks. It's Calvin Lewis, the sophomore, on the return.
Dragons start first and 10 at their own 33-yard line.
As we get underway from Washington Township and Kingsway, in the first quarter, Audubon and Overbrook are tied up at 6 apiece, and Glassboro leads Shalleck early on, 6-0 on a touchdown rush by Kenny Smith. Oravet's play action, pass to the right is complete, and he will break free. Instead, he gets reined in around midfield. We'll see if this was a step out or if he got pushed out. And we do have a flag.
Is he all right?
And it is an offensive hold.
Ball is holding on Kingsway.
With great yardage comes great holding penalties, and that will knock them back 10 yards. This broadcast is brought to you by Garden State Pet Center. Keep your pet happy and healthy today with the most organic food products available in South Jersey, along with toys, cages, accessories, and much, much more. Visit 7 days a week at 226 South White Horse Pike in Audubon. And if you are a small business owner interested in advertising with Dan Wilkins Broadcasting, send us an advertising inquiry today at our email at thedanwilkinsshow@gmail.com. We'll send you a flyer with information. All commercials from Dan Wilkins Broadcasting are filmed, edited, recorded, and produced by our wonderful crew. That's going to be a big loss. Washington Township saw that play dead red, and what was already a precarious spot for Kingsway turns from bad to worse, as that will set up second and even longer from the 24. Yeah, this will actually be about 2nd and 18, so it might even be better than it was before with the yard marker, first down marker being at the 43. Here's Orovets and friends again. Denick on the carry. This will set up 3rd and long. Holy Spirit and Ocean City are scoreless after 1. And Mainland has jumped out to a 7-0 lead over the Winslow Eagles with 6 minutes left in the first quarter, courtesy of Mark Tribble. 3rd and 18 after that play only was able to register for a yard. Dropping back, Orovets lets this fly. No. And I thought that might have had a chance for defensive pass interference. White was the intended receiver, and I thought there were some hands there, and I'm not even talking about the motions in the crowd, where a lot of them thought that it was going to be a flag. And I'm sure Mark Hendricks isn't happy about it either. He's voicing his displeasures as well.
Yeah, it's kind of nice that it's 20 minutes now instead of an hour.
Punt crew is out for Kingsway. This will be taken away by number 41, Zach Burlingame. Hold on here, we've got a flag, and the whistle's blew right after fair catch interference? Oh, I didn't see the fair catch. That is my bad. That's Parker Reese. That was under that and opted for the fair catch. Fair catch came after the fair catch, so I'm sorry, whistle came after the fair catch, so thinking this could be fair catch interference. So referees are going to talk this one over. If you're just joining us, Washington Township just took over on a punt.
What kick interference on the field?
I didn't read that signal. Was that a delay of game? He put the 2 hands on top? I don't know. Maybe I really sound like a fool right now. I have no idea. 1st and 10. Washington Township takes over. I'm a baseball expert, folks. I am not a football expert by any means. Aquino hands off. And that will go right to the line of scrimmage. Maybe a gain of a yard or 2.
Number 6, Colin Dillon carry. Tackled in by number 55. Big J, Jordan Hernandez, number 59, Caden Hood. 2nd and 8.
2nd and 8 for Washington Township. We've got 2:41 and counting in the first. And we've got Laundry during the snap.
With a flag and play.
Some movement there. It's on the defense. So encroachment on the defense.
Ball field is encroaching on Kingsway.
It's kind of been a frustrating series of events for Kingsway, a team that obviously knows how to hold their own, now just picked up a big break on second down after the 5-yard knockback.
Big third down.
So the crowd getting loud. Pass over the middle is caught. There is a flag down. Went all the way to the 35.
That's complete to number 12. Big line. There is a flag on the play.
Looks like this one will come in. It's a offensive hold. What did I say? It was going to happen, and it will repeat third down. If Washington Township can complete those good passes, I mean, you know, look, it's a good crutch to have if you're Washington Township with a quarterback who can find their receivers in mid-range situations. I've seen far too many times these quarterbacks get backed into a bad situation and then have to air the ball out for 30, 40 yards just to get a first down. Or they try to do too much with it. This one is deep. No hands and no catch. Fourth down and long.
Against the send to number 21, Isaac Carr.
Carr was the intended receiver. This will be a punt for Washington Township as they bring out the special teams unit. Their little flag graphic didn't go away. Wanted to be included with the rest of us. Back to return for Kingsway. I believe that's, I can't see the number there. Wow, we've got a lot of flags. This is going to be a roughing the punter, it looks like.
Once they come back.
Number 28, Parker Reese, sent that one away, and that is a... Yeah, Lentini was back there, and he would have put Kingsway in good field position, but I don't know if our camera got it. I think I
Yes.
That is an automatic first for Washington Township. That is a big break for the Minutemen. I mean,
personal foul on Kingsway. That'll be an automatic first down for Washington Township.
that is a shame for Kingsway, just because you had that right in your hands. You know, if Lentini, even if he fair catches it, he's at the 45, and he can waltz his way right across the 50. And he probably would have had room to return it too. But 4th and 16, and Washington Township is on what we call a tailwind drive. So a 1st and 10, a new set of downs, and really a new lease on life in this drive after the punt gets turned around for a roughing the punter personal foul. Over the middle, towards the right side, some tackles in the center there, and looks like the carry was completed by Township's number 6, Colin Bueller. That's a gain of 7. Under a minute remaining in the first. And there's still plenty of time for the momentum to shift if you're a Kingsway fan, but Washington Township, they want to stay on this momentum. You know, the roughing the punter call, it's unfortunate, but for them, it's a plus. And if you're the Minutemen, you definitely have to be able to, you know, be able to capitalize off of that and score in the big moments and score when the opportunity is given to you. And if you're Kingsway, you can't have too much of a long memory. Got to have a short memory and have to erase you know, the faux pas there on the roughing the punter call. This is going to be another offsides on Kingsway. Wow. I mean, the deck has been stacked a little bit, albeit unintentionally, of course. But Kingsway has really not done themselves any favors on the penalty side. 1st and 5 now from the 35. With 12 seconds left, this will be the last play of the quarter. Still short of a first, but got a little bit close. And with 3 seconds, 2 seconds, a 1, and that will be all. After 1 quarter, it's been good for Washington Township. However, they have only struck the end zone 1 time. And we are 12 minutes through here in Woolwich. It is 6-0. Welcome back to the home of the Kingsway Dragons, here from Tony Barchuk Field. Start of the second quarter, Washington Township with a quick pass to the right side. It's caught. It was on 2nd and 3, and this time they dropped the chains. It's another first down for Washington Township. But a good start for sure. For Washington Township, they've certainly wanted to get off to a nice start for the 5-2 ball club. They've had a couple of big wins this year. That gets snuffed out on first down. Again, we apologize if we're having some, not necessarily lag, but just some changes in video quality. We are having some very minor internet issues out here in Woolwich, but we are mitigating it on the fly as best as we can and bringing you this Friday Night Lights production here on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. 2nd down and 9. And for those that are just tuning in, we should mention, even though this hasn't been explicitly mentioned yet, the next week on Friday, October 25th, will be our 2nd annual Dan Wilkins Broadcasting vote game. You folks decide where we go for the last game of the regular season before the playoffs begin. Those choices that will be given to you, those 4 games, will be announced at the end of halftime. We'll have a little graphic up and we will announce them one by one, and that is where we will bring that information to you. 10 minutes remaining in the half. Aquino dumps the pass off to Beeler. That is a very good play to scan the field efficiently. He got taken down inside the 15, and that's another first down for Washington Township as they rock the boat again. Handoff over the middle. It's over the middle, and that's a touchdown, Washington Township. But there is a flag. This one looks like it's coming back. It's an offensive hold, so that brings back the touchdown. Another handoff. Finally, the whistles fly on first and long after the hold. I think Kingsway was trying to say that the ball came out.
Away by number 55. Gordon Hernandez. Brings it 2nd and 13.
Handoff to the right side. Beeler finds room. He dives out at the 5. First down marker is at the 7. Okay. I apologize. They said that he stopped out or stepped out at the 10. Aquino again, handoff to Beeler with the first down marker in between the 6 and the 5. That will drop the chains one last time, and it's 1st and goal. And they needed that, I'll tell you. They needed that. Just had to find a way to break through, and if slowly but surely you can get into the end zone, then you're kind of depleting the time that Kingsway has to fight back, and you can go up by 2 scores. Oh my goodness, he got lifted into the air and sent down. I mean, you could see his legs lift off the ground on the carry by Palaganas. Second and goal here for the Minutemen. Around the 5-yard line. That pass is deflected. They will whistle it dead. It is incomplete. And I knew that was going to happen, but Nick Worley was able to navigate that and find a way to deflect it. And if they can hold them to 3 points here and just make it a 9-point game, or make it 0, depending on how you respond on this 3rd down, Washington Township has their weapons, and they can find their way into the end zone pretty nicely, as they have throughout this entire season. Across their 5-2 record this year, they have only had 2 games where they haven't scored double digits. He dived forward, touchdown Township. And Aquino dived forward into the end zone for Township's 2nd contribution of the day. And the Minutemen are back on the board. It's 12-zip. They missed the first PAT. Let's see how they respond here. It's up, away, and this time it's good. So Washington Township makes the baker's dozen over Kingsway, as the sun is setting on this particular Friday evening. However, this game is far from having its personal sunset. We'll be right back midway through the second quarter here at Tony Barchuk Field. All right, it's 13-0 Washington Township. You know, that looks like one of those pictures that they put up on the walls at the Outback Steakhouse. It's supposed to look like Australia. They've got the silhouettes of the trees. Kangaroos in New Jersey. That I know it. You know, yeah, I mean, yeah, screenshot that, folks. You can put that on your computer background right there as it's 13-0. That is immediately going to go out of bounds. He kind of put his head in his hands there for a second there as Luke Sheets. Remember, for kicking out of bounds penalties, teams have two options. They can decline and start their drive from the 40, or they can send the offending team back 5 yards and re-kick. So Reese has been the punter, but the de facto kicker, at least on these kickoffs, is number 27, Luke Sheets. So a kicking out of bounds penalty sends them back to the 40, rather 35. And Kingsway, now down by double digits, will look for better field position on this drive, which will be their third of the night. Another squib kick. Stays on the ground, picked up at the 30, and we have whistles.
Yeah.
While he was still on his feet. Yeah, they blew the whistle while he was still on his feet. So it was well in bounds. Let's see what the dilemma is here. Yeah, there were no flags on the play. So I guess they're saying that his knee went down, or that he might have stepped down. I personally didn't see it, but my eyes, you know, I might need to check my eyes a little bit. Kingsway starts to drive from their own 31. They've got some work to do here in this second quarter. Hand off over the middle. So we have covered 2 Kingsway football games this year, and they still haven't scored a touchdown in those 2 games. I almost feel bad just because I feel like I might be an omen of bad luck. I don't know. Kingsway 6-1. Their one loss was when we were here. But we try to cover the good games, and you know, on paper this is a good game, and we still have plenty of football left. And this game could turn on its head at any passing moment. 6:20 and counting in the second. Oravets in the shotgun, sends a man in motion. Lentini will get the reception, and he will get taken down at the 45. But that is well enough for a Dragons first down. Dragons pick up a new set of downs for Oravets and company. Again, sending a man in motion, that being J.D. Johnson. They are still in their own territory, but they have certainly less room to go, or I should say less ground to cover from their own 45. Here's Oravets. gets swallowed up at the line of scrimmage, but the whistles were blown. He was still on his feet. I mean, Washington Township has definitely benefited from the fact that they have they've not been too unfortunate with penalties, and Kingsway has been unfortunate with the penalties. At every passing turn, feels like we've had a few penalties knocking these boys back. Oravitz drops back, scans the field, lets it fly. Oh, it's incomplete. Intended for Johnson.
He's frozen up by number 28, Parker Reese. That's going to bring up third down.
So Johnson, the intended receiver, as that one went deep. Third and mid-range for the Dragons. Oravitz again. Lets it fly. That's over the head of Lentini. Fourth down. Felt like he had to rush a lot more on that play than he did on the pass to Johnson. Both were incomplete. However, that last one certainly felt like he had a lot more pressure on his back, and that doesn't help. They will not keep the offense on the field, it appears. Here comes the punt from nope. Oh, I thought they were going to fake, but I was the one who got faked out. It is a fair catch inside the 25. Shalleck is on the board with a 32-yard field goal. It is 13-3 Glassboro. And at the end of the first quarter, Mainland leads Winslow 7-zip. Millville is on top of Cherokee 21-7 early in the first quarter. And Cedar Creek, in the Battle of the Creeks, leads Timber Creek at the half, or excuse me, towards the end of the half, 13-zip. We'll have a lot more updates at 7 o'clock when the majority of tonight's games kick off. Washington Township still on their feet for a first down. A first down and then some. Beeler on the carry. And that first touchdown from Millville in that Cherokee game was a 73-yard touchdown pass from Robbie O'Connor to Alabama commit Lotsier Brooks. Here we go. New set of downs for Washington Township. Another handoff to Beeler. And the whistles fly a hair ahead of the line of scrimmage.
Number 20 holds the Nick. Brings up second down.
Holy Spirit leads Ocean City 9-0 late in the second quarter. Just hit a 51-yard field goal for Holy Spirit. 2nd and 8. Another handoff diving forward, gets a couple more yards. Wise man once said incremental progress is still good progress, and Washington Township is showing that off excellently.
Carried by number 5, Kilo Pallet Magnus. Going by number 4, Tom Dieter, third down.
There was the Kingsway mascot, the dragon. We were at Woodbury on Saturday, and I got to talk with the guy who was in the Woodbury Bison at halftime. As that ball is ripped away, it was intended for Weiser.
That's going to be 4th down for Washington Township.
So it looks like their roster is just a bit off, and Jake Weiser's number 12 instead of being number 14, because that was listed as senior Kirtan Patel.
Go! Go!
This one gets some height on it. It will backspin to the 41, and that's where Kingsway will take over after a punt. Glassboro extends their lead over Shalleck. It is 20-3 late in the first half.
No, they kicked it. They received it.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I'm sure they got to kick it.
First and 7. We're going to have 41 hours.
So Kingsway will take over with 2:26 and a half. It is a 13-0 Washington Township lead. First and 10. Orovitz, play action. Now he dumps it off to the man he just faked it to. He gets wrestled out of bounds. That's J.D. Johnson. That will get maybe 2 or 3 yards. There is a strong slate of South Jersey football games starting in 15 minutes or less. Paulsboro and West Deptford is one of them at 7 o'clock. Kip Cooper and Holy Cross as well. Haddonfield Gloucester, our good friend Chris Baker is in attendance there. He was our producer last night. That is caught, I think that was Lentini. And it is, as he emerges. Whistles come flying in here. I think we have maybe a timeout. We do. Timeout by Kingsway. We will take a quick break as Kingsway trails the Washington Township Minutemen with a minute and 45 seconds left. 13-7. I got to reconnect that. There we go. Back on the air as it's third and mid-range for Kingsway. 105 seconds, and we've got movement. That wasn't even on the offensive line. That was on, I think, Lentini. And it will be a false start. I mean, for every step Kingsway has taken tonight, a penalty or two has knocked them back. Let's talk about more out-of-town scores coming up later tonight. Mastery, Camden, and Gateway. That game is being live streamed by Ryan Sieber, who is a producer on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting and is debuting a new streaming service for Gateway Regional High School. We wish him the best of luck, and he will be continuing to work for Dan Wilkins Broadcasting in some capacity. But we hope, since that game starts at 7 after tonight, after this game is said and done, you go over and support our friends over at Gateway Regional and Ryan Sieber with his broadcasting. That is caught over the middle. That'll give Kingsway some support as they cross the 50, but a late flag comes in after the play. It is a penalty palooza here from Woolwich. And I'd like to see what this is about.
Who is the big question?
Yeah.
So I think it's a personal foul of some sort if I had to guess. And if you're Kingsway, not only would that be a big gain for you, you end up taking the tailwinds for another 15 yards if this is against Township.
There you go.
All right, here's the word from the white cap. Or not yet, they're still talking about it.
Oh, well, there it is. It's not on Kingsway.
That is a
Throwing on the field is personal foul on Washington Twp.
personal foul on
That's
Washington
a
Township.
foul big Dragons first down.
That is a huge first down for Kingsway with under 100 seconds left in the half. And now Kingsway on the doorstep of the red zone. Orvet's throwing through traffic. It's caught by DeNick. He finds some room, and he will dive forward. It is into the end zone. Touchdown, Kingsway. That is the first Kingsway touchdown scored on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. It took them almost 6 quarters to do it, but they did it. Cole McNeil waltzes his way into the end zone. Zach Burlingame, number 41, is going to be on for the extra point. Couldn't see who's holding there. It's up away, and it is good. That will land directly in the middle of the marching band semicircle, and it is 13-7 with 1:20 left in the first half. We will be right back as Kingsway dives into the end zone with Cole McNeil. We'll be right back. A 1:20, Kingsway just found the end zone. Cole McNeil, 20 yards. If you're just joining us, it is a beautiful night here from Woolwich. Maybe a little warmer up in the press box than it is on the ground. That is a touchback.
The kickoff goes through the end zone.
The rare high school touchback. We don't see that every day. And Burlingame will set up Washington Township at the 20. This broadcast is brought to you by Harper Driving School. Over 95% of students pass or take their New Jersey State driving test with Harper. Pass on the first attempt. If you like those odds, you can book an appointment today at Suite E of the Total Turf Complex in Pittman, right off of Lambs Road. Kingsway has cut the lead in half. Not exactly in half, but you get the point. You get the gist. It's 13-7. We've got 1:19 remaining after Kingsway got a touchback. And the Minutemen and Aquino start from the 20. Immediately running into his own man on the offensive line.
Sorry, was by number 9, Andrew Osborne, stopping at number 6, Nicholas Worley.
Don't forget, tomorrow in the morning,
Andrew Watt.
we've got Dan Wilkins with Jake Clark as
Yes.
Kingsway calls their second timeout. We'll stay on the air for the remainder of this week. We have On Saturday, October 19th, it is the Penns Grove Red Devils and the Woodbury Thundering Herd. It is our last of 4 games with Woodbury in the regular season. Whether or not, I mean, it depends on how the PowerPoints lie. If they get a playoff game, we'll also be covering that as a part of our partnership with Woodbury. But our last regular season contest is 11 a.m. tomorrow. On Sunday, October 20th, we've got out-of-state girls soccer, or I should say out-of-state women's soccer, between the Fashion Tech Jaguars and the RCSJ Roadrunners, as the Region 20 faces off against the Region 19 and the Garden State Athletic Conference champion Women Roadrunners team. And on Tuesday, October 22nd, we've got boys soccer under the lights between Timber Creek and Cumberland. 6 p.m. start on that Tuesday. That rush got about 4 yards, with just a hair over a minute to play. That one is a spin cycle over the middle for Beeler.
Number 6, Colin Beeler.
And now Kingsway will call their final timeout. I like the strategy here. They're burning the timeouts like a team that's down a touchdown would in the 4th quarter. They're doing the exact same thing, where they're trying to avoid Washington Township from icing the half. I usually don't see that kind of urgency from teams, burning all of their timeouts on one drive in the first half. So, the way that I've seen it, it's very intriguing from that standpoint. So Kingsway calls their final timeout. Washington Township has all 3 remaining. You're watching coverage of the West Jersey Football League on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting between the Washington Township Minutemen and the Kingsway Dragons. Washington Township leads 13-7. Kingsway got into the end zone just a few minutes ago. Aquino dropping back. Cross body. He tried to get the throw off, but instead that will be a loss of 5-ish. And that will be 4th down at about 11. Like I said, Kingsway played that drive like a team that was down a touchdown with a minute left in the 4th would. You burn all your timeouts, you hope that they don't get a first, and then you'll have another opportunity. And with 3 timeouts remaining, these guys are going to be able to have kind of a truncated drive, but they'll have a drive nonetheless. Lentini back to return. It will be Reese to punt. Clock is running with 15 seconds, and they're going to try to get as much time burned off as possible, and Washington Township calls a timeout. So those little yellow boxes on the bottom of your screen are finally starting to tick away one by one. On Thursday, October 24th, we have our last Thursday game of the regular season between the Seneca Golden Eagles and the Willingboro Chimeras. That's a 7 o'clock start on Thursday with their new head coach, Kenny Scott, after Stephen Everett up and left for Burlington Township. Don't forget, at the end of the halftime show, we will be, or I should say, at the end of halftime going into the 3rd quarter, we will unveil our DWB fan vote game options for Friday, October 25th. There will be 4 options, and voting will open from Saturday at noon to Sunday at noon. The votes will be combined between our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter/X platforms, and the winner will be who we cover on Friday the 25th. We will not be doing a fan vote game for Saturday like we did last year. Reese back to punt again. Lentini to return. This one's got some height. Towards the right side at the 45. The ball came out. And we'll see where this lies. Kingsway, hold on. Kingsway, retain possession. Okay. Yeah, just a little bit of a confusion there at the 45. Washington Township calls their second timeout. They have one remaining. So I'm excited. You know, this is the last, or I should say this is the last weekend of non-fan voted football on DWB. And then we've got the playoffs next week. I think my birthday is going to be on a Friday this year, so we might have birthday football. I don't know. It's not all about me, I'll tell you that, but... There are 6.9 seconds on the clock here in the first half. So Kingsway is looking for something very good here from the 45, from the opposing 45, that is. I think here, roll the dice, take a shot to the end zone, and see what happens. As long as it doesn't get returned to the house on a pick, you should be fine. Oravets with a botched snap, passes it to the left, it's caught, finding some room. They don't have any timeout, so that will end the half. It goes to number 11. That was Christian White, who has been a handful of a couple of targets tonight. And at the end of the first half, Washington Township allows a touchdown, but they got the first 13 on the board. It is 13-7. We will stay on the air as we usually do our halftime show at the end of the first half, but instead, things are getting changed up a little bit, and we are running this halftime show at the beginning of the first half. And you might ask as to why. I'm sorry, at the beginning of the halftime break. If you're asking why, we've got a special guest in the building. He is a frequent flyer here at Kingsway, even though you don't go here, but you still have fun nonetheless. Vince is just a little bit off frame. He's watching this roll down. Brian Tortella, welcome back to the show.
Dan, thank you for having me. It's been a while. You know what? This is a great high school football game here. We got a great Friday of high school football, and you know, Washington Township up 13-6 at the half, or
13-7, yeah.
And you know, I was at the Kingsway Clearview last week.
Yeah.
And I had a chat with Hendricks after the game, and he said to me that Washington Township is a lot more talented than them, a lot more athletically talented, but their kids are going to fight, and that's what we see here today. They get down 13-0, but what do? Right for the half, 20-yard touchdown. So it's a good thing. I think they'll get the ball. I think they're going to control the ball a lot the second half. I think they got a good shot at taking control of this game. We'll see. It's only a 6-point deflect, so we'll see what happens.
They have to manage those penalties. I'll tell you what. You know, they have every step forward. There's been a holding call. There's been at least 3 encroachments or offsides on Kingsway, and Washington Township has been very steady in how they've managed those penalties. And the worst thing that you can do, in addition to being a penalty-ridden team, is facing a team that knows how to capitalize when penalties are thrown their way. You know, that second touchdown drive for Washington Township was kind of aided by a couple of personal fouls. And Kingsway just has to find a way to manage that and not shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, you know, I agree, and I think 2 big things we got to remember here is, like last week, Brancoats Valley goes to Washington Township in a rematch of the Central Group 5 playoffs last year, and they lose. I mean, you know, Washington Township gets killed, and that wasn't expected at all. So, and the complete opposite here with Kingsway decimating Clearview. So, Kingsway knows they're coming off a loss, Township's coming off a loss, and they know they want to be able to take advantage of maybe the momentum they have, and the complete opposite for Township. They have no momentum. But, you know, 2 great high school football teams. I think Kingsway is a lot better than people would have expected this year. What's their record again?
6-1, and that's considering the fact that they were 6-5.
Exactly. So they were 6-5 last year, and now, like you said, 6-1. And this isn't exactly a senior-heavy team. You have a junior quarterback, you have a junior receiver, you have a lot of different big pieces here that are young. I mean, it's not that senior-heavy. So I guess Coach Hendricks has to be looking forward to what he has in store for next year. But we also have to remember this. You know, I think when I checked last week, the 4 seed in the playoffs. If they could get a home playoff game or 2 home playoff games in that case, watch out for the Dragons, no matter who comes in.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, both of these quarterbacks are not seniors. One is a sophomore, one's a junior. And look, both of them have played very different games. Aquino for Washington Township can show that he can be more mobile. He can be more, he can dance a little more on the offensive line. Orovets is more of a pocket passer. He's got a big, bulky build, and he knows how to throw the ball far. And sometimes he finds his men, sometimes he doesn't. But look, both quarterbacks coming into tonight's game with a 60% or better completion rate in this season, and Orovets also having a 65% completion rate in his career. So it helps that you have two quarterbacks that are good at the passing game and can be efficient at that.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I have nothing but respect for both of these quarterbacks. I mean, look at them being younger. I mean, Orovets, he had the opportunity to learn behind, I believe, Tommy Popoff last year. He only started a couple games in the event of injury or whatever, so he had the opportunity to learn. Aquino, I believe, he started for Township last year as a freshman. I mean, that's pretty impressive. This is Group 5 football. This isn't Salem, West Effort. This isn't
any joke.
These are the big boys. Exactly. This is the best of the best in South Jersey, and that's why we're seeing a great high school football game tonight. So I'm looking forward to the second half. And, my prediction, I think Township will hold on, but this will be a moral victory for Kingsway, even if they lose this game. I mean, you got to think, 6-5 last year. What if they lose tonight, 6-2? Already matched win total.
And look, they lost versus Camden in the first week of September. Now they've ripped off 5 straight wins, 3 of them being on the road. It is never easy to win 3 games in a row on the road.
No, not at all. You know, they had this weird schedule where they started 3 games at home and then 3 on the road. And believe it or not, you said I go to Kingsway so much, I do. But one thing I'll tell you is that it was hard with that schedule because they had 3 away. I mean, and so they're playing all over the place. But I was talking to Jude Choppy. She said they had 5 home games and 3 away. Yeah, so exactly. So that's kind of a little uneven balance, whatever. But you know what? No matter what happens tonight, it's like I said before, it's a great high school football game. And if Kingsway somehow finds a way to win this game, this is a statement for Coach Hendrick's team. I mean, look, no one will get past House River North in that bracket, but they could be a sectional finals. I mean,
very well.
Washington Township is the best of the best. They are. I mean, last week was not their best play against Red Cokes Valley, but they beat RB the last year. Washington Township was an even better team last year, I think. They're a good team. So we'll see what happens, but 2 young teams, 2 great high school football games. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate that.
It is always appreciated. You are always welcome. And, of course, in the future, I'll have to bug you for some color commentary jobs when you're not reporting. But thank you for being here. Tort Reports on every social media platform under the sun. Make sure you give him some support. He does an amazing job, whether it's on the sidelines or up in the booth. He's the real deal. We appreciate it, Brian.
Look, I'm blessed to be, learning with you throughout this whole process. We're young guys getting after it, but us two right here, especially this guy, the future of South Jersey high school sports coverage right here. So it's a great thing.
You and me both, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
We will see you guys in a couple minutes, and when we have those picks, we'll reveal them to you at the beginning of the third quarter. We'll be right back.
of Kingsway and Dragon Prize, from academics to extracurriculars. And this parade is a staple of our very special homecoming weekend for our school and our community. Without further ado, let's meet our homecoming court. Two of them will lead as our king and queen when all said is done. First up, we have our 6 young men, beginning with Nico DeSandro. He's escorted by his parents and his sister. During his senior year, Nico DeSandro.
Okay, that's $2,000. Like $2,000.
Now we have Zachary Bro, escorted by his parents and his sister. Zachary's favorite memory at KRHS is spending time with his volleyball teammates and celebrating their victories together. The quote he lives by is, "It's about the journey, not just the destination." Following his time at Kingsway, Zachary plans to attend college and make the most of every moment. Let's hear it for Zachary Grove. Our next board member is Dominic Hibbs, escorted by his parents and his friends. After graduation, Dominic will be playing collegiate lacrosse and studying business. The quote that Dominic lives by is,
Breaking news.
"Success is walking
Grimmins seen
from
smoking crack outside city.
with no one else to do it." Dominic
Yeah, well, that's that.
Cherish each
Yeah,
day
that they're done.
and live it the present.
No, the Mets.
Goes by really
Oh,
fast.
shit.
No,
Let's hear from
Sick.
Dominic
Mets are
Hibbs.
winning 8-1.
Now it's 10-6.
Next up,
Are
we
they
have
seriously
Sam
going to have a
Jackson,
lead?
escorted by his dad,
Middle of the
stepmom,
set.
and
Well,
siblings.
we were talking about
Sam
this in our
Kingsway
talk show
memory was
today,
being on the
and
I
football
forgot to
team
listen into
and
it.
being
we were
part of
not
a great
surprised that
football
the
program.
Mets, we were
What we live
predicting the
by
Mets
is
to take
those who
this.
never change their mind,
It's
never
the last
change
game
anything.
at City Field.
The advice of the
I'm
underclassmen
kind of
is
not
to care what other
surprised,
people think.
but
Once you
it's
realize
only the
that,
middle
everyone
of
has
the
their
6th
own
inning,
life
so there's
going
who
on,
knows
and
what
you'll
could
start
happen.
to feel more open
Otani
about
could
who you are
explode. I
and
mean,
what
you just
stand
don't
for.
know.
Let's hear it for
Friedman.
Sam Jackson. And now we have Colin McCourt, escorted by his parents and his siblings. Colin's favorite memory was making the soccer team for the past 4
Okay.
years. He now has a family within his team where they can continue
Oh,
to
Freeman's
create
got
new
nothing.
memories
Okay,
every
well
single day, on the field and off the field.
Otani
What he
2
lives by is
to
dreams don't work unless you do.
Edmund. Okay, yeah, makes
He is most looking forward to the senior trip and spending time with his friends. Colin's advice to the underclassmen is to get
Yeah, the
involved
Mets
in
doing
school,
so good.
make connections with your classmates and teachers. a life for Elena and made her happy when life got challenging. After graduation, Elena plans to major in business, hopes to one day be able to provide for and support her own loving family. Her advice for underclassmen is to stay involved and always spread kindness to everyone. Let's hear it for Elena Reaping. And to close off our ladies is Madison Sims, escorted by her mom, grandmother, and sister. Madison's favorite high school memory has been spending lunch with her best friend. Let's hear it for Madison Sims. Tonight we have Riley McFarland, our 2023 homecoming queen, here to crown this year's homecoming king and queen. And finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. This year's homecoming king is James Jackson!
Thank you. Hang on, Martin. Okay. Yes, thank you.
And this year's homecoming queen is Tigris Gary! Ladies and gentlemen, we please have a big round of applause for this year's homecoming king, Sham Jackson, and this year's homecoming queen, Tigris Gary.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here from Kingsway Regional High School. The halftime show is done. We apologize for that as the mic was passing by. This is an important time for us here at DWB as we have a special little event that we will be determining the winners of the fan vote, or I should say, not the winners of the fan vote, but the options for the fan vote for this upcoming Friday, rather Friday, October 25th. This is the second year in a row that we will be using these fan vote options to bring you the final game of the regular season here on DWB. Our first option, coming in at a 3-4 record, starting off 0-2 with a loss to Kingsway, but rebounding and beating Vineland, Cherry Hill West, and Trenton before losing to Atlantic City. Our first fan vote option is Highland and Eastern. That will be a 6 o'clock start on Friday if that is the selected game. The next option is going to be one up in Burlington County. It is a team that we have seen a lot on football, but not this year. Their second-year head coach won just 2 games in 2023 and has now rebounded for a 6-1 record in the WJFL Independence Division, with their only loss being to undefeated Burlington Township. The second option is Morristown and Delran. Morristown is 1-6 on the season. Colin Huco and Delran is 6-1. They have held teams to under 10 points a game 4 times. Now for our third game. Our third game is going to be a fun one down in Salem County. As Brian Tortella forgot his backpack. Our third game will be a battle of Camden County and Salem County. And the visiting team is a head coach that Brian Tortella visits a lot. The third fan vote option is Collingswood and Pennsville. And our fourth and final fan vote option is another Camden County, or Gloucester County rather, team that we visit a lot. And with one of the most heavily covered teams on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting, 2 Group 1 organizations. It is Pittman and Gateway, 7 o'clock. And there you have it. Those are our 4 fan vote options. Voting will open at 12 o'clock on Saturday and will close at 12 o'clock on Sunday. Highland versus Eastern, Morristown versus Delran, Collingswood versus Pennsville, and Pittman versus Gateway. Welcome back here from Tony Barchuk Field, as we are just restoring the timeouts. It's 13-7. Kingsway will kick the ball off to start quarter number 3. "24 minutes left in a 6-point game. Here we go. That one went all the way back out the back of the end zone, and it's a touchback. That is the second touchback. That is the second touchback for Burlingame tonight, as Washington Township looking to hold on to their reign here. They scored the first 13 points, but haven't been so lucky. Washington Township will start the drive at their own 20. And if you're Kingsway, that's always something you want to hear. Want to give them bad field position. But Washington Township has had the edge for the entire night. Rolling out to the right side. And the whistles fly there.
The pitch number 5, Caleb Agnes.
Agnes
1, 2nd and 9.
on the carry. Second down, pass is caught downfield. And whistles are finally flying there after the tackle by Kingsway's number 14, Andrew Wands on the tackle.
First hit by number 7, Cameron Light. It's going to be 32. Let's make some noise for the Dragons defense. They try to come up with a big stop here.
The Kingsway student section is loving it. There are some poor souls that are shirtless here in the 55-degree weather tonight. That's confidence, I'll tell you that. 3rd and short. They are trying to work some voodoo magic into this Kingsway defense for the black and red. Here comes a handoff. That might be short. The first down mark is at the 30. I don't think he got there. And it will indeed be short. So whatever voodoo magic is going on there is working. Here we go. 4th and short. They're going to try to will their way across with brute force. Kingsway thinks they have it. And there were maybe some premature celebrations on that sideline. Whistles are blowing here. That will be a first down, Washington Township. Talk about a premature celebration there. I mean, they had a couple good stops, but now Washington Township gets a new opportunity here on this first drive of quarter number 3, still at their own 30. So they've certainly got a lot of ground to cover still. Handoff over the middle. That was carried by number 5, Caleb Palaganis. 2nd and 8 now after a gain of 2 for the Minutemen.
Second down.
2nd and 8 for the Minutemen and crew. Sending a man to the right. This is going to be QB keeper for Aquino. And he will be stood up. A battle of number 7 and number 7, Cameron White. No, never mind. That was Tommy DePietro. We need some of those pyrotechnics like they have at Wells Fargo Center, like they do for the Pico power play. They need to have some.
That's all the.
They need to have.
That's
Well,
what we know.
just like Gloucester has the cannon when they score the touchdown, you know. We certainly could use a little heat here. It is 55, and it'll drop even further throughout the night. Aquino lets this one fly a long way, and it's incomplete. 4th down. And no flags either. I didn't really see any hands on it. And Dom Hibbs. Superb coverage by Hibbs. And that will bring up a very imperative 4th down. Great coverage there in the Kingsway secondary. We haven't seen a lot of that tonight just because Aquino has mostly kept to mid-range passes of 10 to 15 yards. Parker Reese punts. There's a flag. Washington Township is going to get called for fair catch interference. I think it was very minor contact.
So they are giving that.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. They're telling Washington Township players to get out of that huddle, basically. The fair catch was around the 41. That'd be, if that's what it is, it would be the 2nd fair catch interference call of the day, which is something we don't see a lot of. First of all, we don't see a lot of fair catches in high school football. A lot of coaches like to be a little bit ambitious on the offense, or I should say on the return, and try to get as many yards as you can. These guys tried to play it safe, and obviously Washington Township was up in arms about it, including Jake Weiser and number 21, Isaac Parra.
Illegal use of hands.
Yeah, so.
Yes.
Yeah, so illegal use of the hands is called there.
Illegal use of hands on Washington Township.
Catching interference.
Yeah, so it is kick-catch interference.
And the Dragons are going to take over.
6 one way, half a dozen another, but the penalty counts the same. 1st down Dragons. They are across the 50. I mean, that is big. I mean, a punt return or a fair catch at the 41 is nice enough, but the fact that they got the penalty to carry them across the 50. Oh, here comes Nick. He finds some space, hugging the far sideline, and he will step out towards the pylon. It's hit and a touchdown, Kingsway. We are tied. That is a 33-yard touchdown rush for Cole Nick. It's Zach Burlingame on to attempt the PAT that would give the Dragons the lead here in a game that has had its fair share of twists and turns. It's a line drive, and that's good. Kingsway leads. The hold by Ford, the kick by Burlingame, and a 33-yard rushing touchdown by Cole Nick, the sophomore. puts the Dragons in front for the first time at any juncture tonight. We'll be right back after this.
In life, the road ahead is full of possibilities, but to navigate it safely, you need the right skills. Harper Driving School is the premier driving school serving Gloucester, Salem, and Camden counties. With experienced instructors, many of whom are teachers in local schools, we are dedicated to your success and will help you master the road with confidence. With an over 95% success rate of students passing their road test on their first try, you know your student will be in good hands while embarking on a huge step of their young adult lives, all while avoiding the lines at the DMV and getting insurance discounts.
We chose Harper, and so should you.
Burlingame is going to kick this one off, and Kingsway has a 14-13 lead. They take over. And they have taken control of this ball game for the first time at any juncture tonight.
Let's go.
That is another one that will sail at the 1. That's the third touchback. Third touchback for Zach Burlingame tonight. And that seems, that just seems like a minute detail on paper, but I can't remember how many times in a Group 1 or Group 2 game that we saw a touchback, unless the kick was moved up 5 or 10 yards because of a prior penalty. You know, like a penalty that's enforced on the ensuing kickoff, that kind of thing, like a excessive celebration. That's the only time I've seen a touchback, a legitimate touchback this season, and it's from Zach Burlingame. Now, I might be completely wrong on that, but that's just my on the nose observation. That's a rush up the middle. I think that's Beeler on that. He'll get about 3 yards.
I think it was 6. He's back in. Carried by number 6, Kyle Beeler, number 4, Tyler Deaver.
We are 4 minutes elapsed into the second half. And Oravet's throwing with his partner on the sideline, number 81. This has been a topsy-turvy night for Kingsway, and if they can get the momentum on their side, it will be the second upset loss in a row for Washington Township after being shut out by Rancocas Valley last week. All right, so it is 7:45, which means we are going to hit you with some out-of-town scores in a way that you have never seen before. We got to rapid fire these, as we've got a lot of scores from the WJFL and beyond tonight. Point Pleasant Beach leads Manchester Township 7-6. Bishop Eustace leads Wildwood 30-0 at the half. Gloucester and Haddonfield are scoreless after 1 quarter. Cherokee and Millville, that is a 43-14 game for Millville at the end of the half. Another rush by Kingsway, by Township.
Number 4, Swami.
Paul Six leads Seneca 13-0 at the end of the first quarter. Holy Cross Prep of Delran leads Kip Cooper Norcross 6-0 after 1. Winslow is taking care of Mainland. It is 27-7, still in the first half. Here comes a pass to the right side, broken up. Almost picked, almost caught, and it falls for nobody. I think that was Hibbs. It was Hibbs on the coverage. That brings up third down.
Tom was right there. No, we can't get through a whole game without saying Miller's got to go.
Middle Township leads Absegami 7-6 at the half. And Shalleck trails Glassboro 20-10 in the third quarter. And at the end of the first half, going into the fourth quarter, Holy Spirit leads Ocean City by a score of 9-0, and we've got flags. I think we got some movement here on the defensive line. We were talking to Brian at the halftime break about Kingsway reducing the penalties. Of course, they benefited from the fair catch interference. Oh, they call a full start? Oh, okay. That's a boost for the home crowd. I thought for sure number 59, Caden Hood, was the one who moved. But I was wrong. I was very wrong. Here we go again. It is 3rd and about 15 after the false start penalty. Aquino has the ball, fires it to the right side, diving, and it's going to be short. Whether he caught it or not, it's short. It is incomplete to Washington Township. Looks like that was intended for number 21, Isaac Para. And Washington Township will bring out the punt crew. If you told me at the end of the half that, or before Kingsway got on the board, that Washington Township would be losing halfway through the 3rd quarter, I wouldn't have thought you'd be right. I mean, these guys really seem to have an offensive rhythm that has been disrupted by Kingsway tonight. Washington Township is a very good team. No fair catch this time. And a very short return by Lentini goes to the 45.
Tackle made by number 10, Jalen Robinson. The Dragons will take over 1st and 10 at their own 46-yard line.
Absolutely. Got a couple of backs in a row. Exactly. You got to double down.
By the way, Kingsway tonight is having their 10th broadcast on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. They hold a 7-2 record in those 10 games, or in those 9 games prior to tonight. Many of those being in baseball and a handful in basketball and soccer. Over the middle by Danick. Maybe 2 or 3 yards on that one, 2nd down.
Carry being on the 20, Colt Danick. Gain of 3, 2nd and 7.
We do have our first score of the night in Haddonfield and Gloucester. Haddonfield with a 20-yard touchdown. 30 seconds left in the first half, and Bulldogs lead 7-0. Delsey leads Williamstown 13-0 midway through the 2nd quarter. Dan Russo on the touchdown for the Crusaders. And Williamstown is who Kingsway has on the road next week to close out the season. Fake. A beautiful fake by Orovets. He's had a few of those tonight. On 2nd down this time, it is still short of a 1st down, but the pass is caught by Danick.
21, Isaac Moore on the tackle. 3rd and 2.
Yeah, it'll be 3rd and 2 here. That's about all we have for out-of-town scores at the moment. When we have more that come in from our wonderful reporters and athletic directors who post the live score updates. And actually, one more thing from Holy Spirit Ocean City. Ocean City got a field goal. It is now 9-3. And Delsey added on another touchdown with 7 seconds left in the half. It is 21-0 Crusaders. 4 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. Kingsway on offense, it's 3rd and short. Trying to prevent them from making the same mistake that Washington Township did, and I think I might have jinxed them. It is a delay of game, so yeah, I jinxed them. You can send the bill my way. And now that 3rd and short becomes a little less rosy and a little further off the beaten path. It is still very doable at 3rd and 7, but you don't need a rocket scientist to know that 3rd and 2 is a world's better than 3rd and 7. You know, Orovets might need to go for the pass here, and they might need to, make a couple changes, whether it's on personnel, but this is the golden opportunity for Kingsway. The momentum is in your court. You have to continue driving the ball down the field for that momentum not to swing Township's way. Throws it on the run. It is incomplete. It almost was brought in, but it bounced in and out of the hands of number 11, that being Christian White. So we've got Christian White, we've got Cameron White, and unfortunately for Kingsway, looks like they're going to bring out the punt team. This is a big opportunity for Washington Township here because momentum is one of those intangibles that wins lots of ball games and wins championships. These guys were up 13-0, and now here comes the punt from Burlingame. Looks like that was another fair catch. Inside the 20, and that's where the Minutemen take over. But simply put, Washington Town, their homecoming court and the king and queen and all that, you know, razzle-dazzle, and now they get to play 24 more minutes of football. The momentum was on the home side. And now that's wavered a little bit now that they were unable to convert on what was otherwise, on paper, what seemed like a good drive. Aquino on play action. Passes to the right. It's caught. That'll be a first down. Ball comes out, but it will rustle out of the sideline. Caught by number 7. That is Paul Drombowski, the senior tight end, junior tight end. Speaking of out of step, I've been a little out of step tonight, but can't let it hit you too hard because we got a full weekend of football and women's soccer on the way. We do have Fashion Tech and RCSJ in JUCO soccer on Sunday, October 20th at 2 p.m. from the RCSJ Roadrunner Complex in Sewell. Handoff over the middle gets snuffed out at the line of scrimmage.
Number 6, Nicholas Worley, second down.
Second and 9. Yeah, like we said, we have some minor internet issues up here in Woolwich. Nothing that completely shuts down the broadcast, but it's enough to make the video stagger a little bit. He gets wrestled down. That's Township number 12. So Jake Weiser, a junior. They do give it the first down to Township.
That's going to be another Washington Township first down.
First and 10. New set of downs for the Minutemen as they're going to look to do this in 2 minutes and 40 seconds. A little bit more than a minute. And that's over the middle. Every time we do a game day post on Instagram, you can add music. And every time I try to add music, I try to think of something that's topical, something that is relevant to the two teams that are playing. So I'm like, okay, I could do something with a King. I could do something with Minutemen. I could have done Minute by Minute by the Doobie Brothers. I could have done, Hail to the King, Avenged Sevenfold. I could do a lot of things. For whatever reason, I picked So Fresh, So Clean by Outkast. And the reason why I thought of it was like, well, what do you do when you're clean? You wash. First four letters of Washington Township, Washington Township. So it's a really bad pun that and we do have a timeout on the field. This is really close. On second down, we will be measuring the distance. So social media rant over, and now we got to get down to business.
Morgan.
They're trying to stretch it as far as they can. I was going to say the other stick wasn't even really in the ground.
No.
It's short. Oh,
Money point. Hold on.
First down.
No, it is not short. Okay, sorry. From what I saw on the pylon, I thought it was maybe an inch or two short, but just off of what I saw on the camera.
Here's my hero, Ian Gutter.
So a new set of downs after review for Washington Township, having to do it the old-fashioned way, as it's 90 seconds left in the third quarter. The only score has been a 33-yard scramble by Cole Denick, the sophomore. Township has not scored since midway through the second quarter. That's over the middle. I mean, Township has had maybe 3 games in a row that have been all tumultuous, if you will. You know, that win over Lenape was a game they were trailing by double digits in the first half. In fact, Lenape scored 14 points unanswered in the first quarter. Then Township comes back with 14 in the second, 14 in the third, and then 7 in the fourth to win 35-26. Pass to the right is caught, gets hit below the waist, and he will be taken care of there. That was, I was going to say, that was either number 10 or number 18. Would have been either Jalen Robinson or Anthony Forte. But Washington Township only surrendered 21 points in their first 3 games of the season. Highlands in the Battle of the Beach on the 30th, on that Friday. And then they beat them 23-8. They beat Pennsauken 28-7 in Pensauken's opener. A rush to the right. Oh no, he's going to barrel through for a first down. Washington Township. Kingsway thought they had him. He did not. He breaks free from the ropes, and that's a Minutemen first down.
That's another Washington Township first down.
Clock stops with 9 seconds left, but it looks like that is going to be the last play of the third quarter. So Washington Township is driving across the field, and this game is certainly by no means over. And for Township, a missed extra point from way back yonder in the first quarter might very well be the difference maker in this game, just like Haddonfield and Woodbury from August 31st. We've got 12 more to play in regulation. We'll be right back after this.
Garden State Pet Center is an independently owned full-service pet store. Our specialty is promoting companionship between people and animals by providing the healthiest product choices available, including all-natural foods, supplements that support and relieve health issues, and innovative products for pet parents. Our goal is to provide our customers with a relaxing environment, and while we're not striving to be the biggest store on the East Coast, we're striving to be the best. No other pet store will make you feel at home like we do. At Garden State Pet Center, we view pets as members of the family. We don't believe in fast, high-pressure sales, but instead matching up the right pet with the right owners, as you are making a lifelong commitment. Together with our team members, we would like your visit to our store to be both enjoyable and educational. Simply drop in and take a look around. View the birds, reptiles, small animals, toys, food, cages, and miscellaneous items. Learn of the services we have to offer and decide for yourself if this is the store you'd like to call your home away from home.
Victor Santucci, owner of Garden State Pet Center. Visit us today at 226 South Whitehorse Pike in Audubon, New Jersey. We're open 7 days a week for all of your pets' needs.
We are back just in time for the start of the fourth quarter. Great timing there, Vince. That was great. Coming out of the commercial break. 1st and 10, new set of downs for Washington Township. Handoff right side, flying in. We've got a flag at the line of scrimmage. That was a rush by Peliganis. It is going to be an offensive hold. Not every time do we see a holding call on a rushing play. Usually the holds come when there's a little bit more time for the QB to protect the pocket, but
Well, Thursday at 3 a.m., it will be featured in the 16T Parade press conference. So sit in there, sit your keys.
I was going to say, what theme song? He said? What theme song? Huh. Oh, yeah. No, I know the Action News theme song, I just couldn't hear it. Windows are muffling things a little bit here. Rush over the middle by Peliganis. He is being carried forward after the 10-yard loss on the holding penalty. You know, I grew up as an Action News kid. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Jim Gardner's a legend. I also miss Jeff Skaversky, who did the sports for a long time. He's now at some station in Detroit. But there's some great folks over there over at 6ABC. Although my cousin, we do have a flag. It is a false start on the offense. I should say, even though I am an Action News fan, I should say my a fairly distant cousin of mine on my dad's side of the family, Brenna White, is a reporter at NBC 10 Philadelphia. So I do tune into 6ABC and NBC 10 just because of Brenna and her work with NBC 10 in the family. So reporters and broadcasters run in the family here on the Wilkins side. 2nd and 15. Over the middle. Towards the left. Looks like that got rattled out and it's an incompletion. Broken up by Lentini. And Washington Township here needs to be able to get themselves back into a rhythm. They haven't had a rhythm at all in the second half. They had everything going for them in the first half, and as soon as Kingsway found the light of day and waltzed their way into the end zone for that 20-yard rush by DeNick, they haven't had the same prowess. I mean, Aquino is an incredible quarterback. They have had a impenetrable rushing core of Osborne, Beeler, and Palaganis. But that all seems to be wavering here in the third and fourth quarter. Liner pass is... If it's complete, it's short. It is complete to number 18, Anthony Forte, the sophomore. That'll bring up fourth down. Now, if they attempt the field goal, it will be from 46 yards. They do not go for that option. I mean, even at the group 4 and 5 level, they would keep the offense on the field here. A field goal that would give them the lead. They are going for, they are gambling a little bit down here. 4th and 5. Aquino, keeper, finds a gap in the defense, dives forward. Washington Township's pointing that way, Kingsway's pointing the other way. First down marker is at the 25. The first down marker is just off the screen. And it's a turnover. Where's that belt? Who's got the belt? Somebody's got to have the belt down there.
And 10. Around 25-yard line.
I guess no turnover belt. I guess that doesn't apply for turnover on downs. Or maybe it's out of commission for the night. I don't know. But Kingsway gets the ball back. 9:32 left in the fourth. Kingsway is backed up inside their own 25. And Orovets deep in the shotgun. Immediately opts to keep it. And he will get swallowed up, I think, behind the line of scrimmage, and it'll be second down. I mean, for Kingsway, there is no reason for you to do too much on this drive. You're winning by 1 point, and you just forced a crucial turnover on downs on that last drive with Washington Township. I mean, it might have been a matter of a yard, if that determined Washington Township's fate in that drive. Kingsway has to just chew off some time and be conservative, be careful. Orovets throwing out of the pocket. It's complete to somebody on the far sideline. Didn't catch that, or I didn't catch that, that should be. That's Colton Nick again. I mean, he would definitely be a candidate for player of the game tonight. I mean, 336 rushing yards going into tonight. He only came into today with 63 receiving yards. according to NJ.com, that is. But that number could very well change. You know, it's one of those things like Dean Potts with Riverside back in September. He came into his Week 4 matchup with 150 passing yards. He doubled that by the end of the first half in that Holy Cross game. He's going to let it fly on 3rd and long. It is incomplete, and he gets hit. Intended for Christian White. Taking a second to get up there. He is kind of clutching at his sides a little bit there. I was going to say, he had to give himself a second there. These guys are immediately punting. And Kingsway will let this one bounce. It's going to roll, no backspin, and it will stop on a dime at the 35. Whistles fly, 7:51. This broadcast is brought to you by the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators, or Dog Pro Wrestling, the top premier South Jersey professional wrestling organization with high-flying and action-packed events throughout the entire state. For more information on future events and tickets for those events, visit Dog Pro Wrestling, DAWGProWrestling.com. Somebody's looking to start a defense chance here in the back row. It's kind of like starting a wave in a baseball game. You don't know if it's going to catch on or not. But Kingsway is getting ready to rock and roll. If they can take down Washington Township, it will be a huge statement for them as both teams fighting for playoff spots in the higher groups. Now he finds some space. He is from the 25. They started the drive at the 35, and Washington Township picks up a huge run from Colin Beeler, who was out of the game for about half a quarter. And if you're a Kingsway fan, you like the fact that there's laundry on the field.
Oh, yeah,
It is a hold on Washington Township. What did we say in the first quarter? You can rewind the tape. With great yardage comes great penalty flags for holding.
Someone gets that open, it's usually a penalty.
Yeah.
That's usually how Mondays.
And that's, I mean, with Jason Solomon last week for Woodbury, he had a 99-yard fumble return touchdown for them in their 43 to 30 loss. And I had to scan the field like 3 times to make sure there were no flags. First and 10. 3 receivers to the left of Aquino. Takes it himself. And it will get back to the line of scrimmage. By the way, that holding call was a spot foul. So that's why it's not 1st and 20. It's instead now 2nd and 9 after a very gain by Washington Township. For Washington Township, if this score ends up holding out, or at least Washington Township scores without making this a multi-score game, it's 2nd and 9. Like we said, Township only surrendered 21 points in the first 3 games of the season. We have more penalty flags on the play. It'll be a false start on the offense. For Kingsway, this would be just their 3rd one-score game of the season. They beat Delsea on the road 14-12 and beat Camden Eastside 16-8. Those are the only one-score games for Kingsway this year, and they have won both of them. Aquino has time. The pocket collapses, and he finds his man to the left side. He cuts to the right. The first down marker is in sight. He crosses it, and then some, and a huge first down for Washington Township. That was caught by number 45, Ray McFall, the junior. And that will be a first down and then some for the Minutemen. If Washington Township keeps this a one-score game, it would be their first one-score game of the season. They beat Timber Creek. I'm sorry, they beat Lenape 35-26, but that was a 9-point game. And for the Minutemen, this would be by far their closest either margin of victory or margin of defeat, unless away in the last 5 minutes and 15 seconds. But there's still time to spare. There's still time to waste. Washington Township wants to make sure Kingsway, if they get the ball at all, does not have much time to formulate a drive, and that's going to happen right here. They'll have the full 5 minutes because Washington Township is in the end zone. Palaganis. Hayes scores for the Minutemen, and the Whitetops retake the lead for the first time since the first half. And with 5 minutes, not a second more, not a second less, take a 19-14 lead. That was from the 44-yard line. The longest touchdown by distance scored today. And a chance to make this a 6-point game or 7 if they keep the offense on the field. I don't know. Do you play it safe or do you get a little gutsy with it? I don't know. You don't know if you're going to have another possession, depending on how Kingsway manages the last 5 minutes that they have. Washington Township will go for 2. It's a little risky, but if it works, we'll praise them, and if it doesn't, we won't. Aquino lines a pass, and trying to figure that out. Yes. Washington Township converts on the 2-point conversion, and they now lead by an even 7 over Kingsway. That was huge. Didn't exactly get an eye on who caught that. But that is big for Washington Township, a team that needed to get their groove back. They were a little out of step for the entirety of this second half, now having an opportunity to strike again, and they do from 44 yards out. That's big.
Yeah, right now what you're looking at, that was a gutsy call, but something where if Kingsway gets a touchdown, and they've been doing well with the extra points, that's something that you have chances. Exactly. That's the thing. So now you go into Kingsway shoes. What are you looking at? You have all 3 of your timeouts. Both sides do, but you have all 3 of your timeouts. What you are looking at doing is a nice, long, time-consuming drive, but obviously you have to get a touchdown. There's no such thing as a field goal. Just throw all that out the window. This is a touchdown, and you need a time-consuming drive. You have your timeouts there to help you in case you go a little over the edge, but you have to watch the time. You have to move down the field as well.
This is one of those drives where you both have to be conservative and aggressive at the same time. It sounds like an oxymoron, but this is a situation where you don't want to burn too much time off the clock, but you also don't want to burn too little time off the clock. Because if you don't get into the end zone, you'd rather have 3.5 minutes left instead of a minute. Another grounder of a kick that gets bobbled. He had a knee down at the 30. And for Washington Township, they visit Timber Creek on the road at 7 o'clock next Friday. By the way, if you missed it during the halftime break, we introduced our DWB fan vote candidates for this upcoming Friday. Highland Eastern, Morristown, Delran, Collingswood, Pennsville, and Pittman Gateway. Voting will open on Friday, on 12 o'clock on Saturday, and it will close at 12 o'clock on Sunday in 24 hours. Kingsway with 4 minutes and 58 seconds. Returner had his knee down where the ball is spotted at the 35. 1st and 10, and a lot of room to cover. And 7 points is the end goal for Kingsway. He is wrestled to the ground by a host of Minutemen for a loss of, I don't know where forward progress is going to go, but it should be a loss of at least 4. That is huge for Washington Township. You know, for a team that is known for good defense, they needed that. Absolutely needed that. And for Kingsway, like we said, their next contest will be versus Williamstown. They are currently trailing 21-0 in the third quarter to Delsey, a team that Kingsway beat barely by a score of 14-12. You know, one of the big reasons why Washington Township took that two-point conversion was to eliminate the what-if factor about that missed extra point that went wide in the first quarter during Township's first touchdown. You wanted to eliminate all doubt. A fake to the right. We have a flag at the line of scrimmage on 2nd and long. Bryant on the carry. Yeah, I don't know. It is an offensive hold. I mean, this is huge for Washington Township. Not only did they get a huge drop of 7 yards on that first play without even any flags to assist, they now pick up another holding call, and this is going to put Kingsway in a precarious situation. No matter what side you're on, this is difficult because now Kingsway is uncomfortable. Orovets probably has to go long because this could be your last drive of the game. Both teams have all timeouts left, but you can feel there's a little tension in the air. You can feel that if Washington Township gets the job done on this drive, then there will be a lot of folks in the black and red for Woolwich and for Kingsway going home sad tonight. This could be, I'm sorry, it's 2nd and 17, or 2nd and 27 rather. Somebody call something? Okay. Washington Township does burn their first timeout of the second half. We were talking about all those timeouts being free, and now Washington Township decides to use their first. They have 3 minutes and 24 seconds left in regulation, and it is a clean 21-14 score here from Woolwich at Tony Barchuk Field here in Kingsway. We'll be right back. Second and 17 after a hold, and we've got a flag. Washington Township's jumping up and down. And it will be against Kingsway. False start. That will bring it to 2nd and 22. It was at this very stadium a month ago that Camden converted on a 3rd and 30. So I wouldn't rule anything out, but Orovets might have a trick up his sleeve, and we'll see what he can pull off. Orovets throwing out of the pocket. It is incomplete. Intended, I think, for Lentini, but Kingsway has had some crucial drops. I mean, there are some passes, whether it was to White or to Johnson or anybody or Lentini, that, you know, when that ball came down, you know, everybody was scratching their heads thinking, you know, what could have been? And I think Kingsway leads this game if maybe 3 of those catches aren't dropped. I mean, there's a difference. There is a difference, not in the scorecard, but in, you know, the layman's terms, if you will, between a drop and an incompletion. They mean the same thing, but they can have 2 very different outcomes in your team's momentum. They send a man in motion. Orovets in the shotgun. It is a play-action play. Incomplete. It's short. And that'll be 4th down. It is 4th down and 32. The line of scrimmage is at the 15, and the first down marker is all the way up at around the 45. And Kingsway is bringing out the punt crew. If there's a silver lining, you didn't burn off as much time as you could have. You have 3 minutes and 16 seconds, and you have all 3 timeouts. The punt is up. Didn't see any fair catch call, but it's not going to matter. It goes across the 50 to the 47. And Washington Township will look to ice the game in something that's only 15 degrees above icy weather. Washington Township looking to avenge their 27-0 loss to Rancocas Valley and their squeaker against Lenape. Look, the last 4 weeks, here's the thing. I'll say this here. 4 of the last 5 games for Washington Township have not been easy. You play the Superstars at Millville, and they lost 36-7 at home. They play Williamstown. That was the one game that was pretty easy. 21-10, but they led the whole way. Then they played Lenape. They were down double digits, and then came back with a dominant second and third quarter to win 35-26. And then last week they lost to Rancocas Valley, 27-0. They look to reverse that tonight in what has been a tumultuous game. Palagnus over the middle. Some folks tripping over each other after the whistle. That is a gain of about 4, and Kingsway burns their first timeout. We'll stay on the air.
Yes, they told the timeout first.
There is an injury timeout for a Minuteman player. However, Kingsway's timeout still does count because they called the timeout first before the injury timeout was called. It's Timeout Palooza here in Woolwich. Don't forget, tomorrow morning at 11 a.m., get up bright and early for the Pennsgrove Red Devils and the Woodbury Thundering Herd. It is our 4th and final regular season game with Woodbury. Big thanks to Anthony Browning, Coach Anthony Reagan, and the entire Woodbury coaching staff for the hospitality they have given us this football season, and we hope to be working with them again in the future. And then, of course, Thursday, October 24th, it's the Seneca Golden Eagles and the Willingboro Chimeras. And, of course, as we mentioned on Friday, that is the DWB fan vote game. Highland. Sorry, my mic was muted there. Highland and Eastern, Morristown and Delran, Collingswood and Pennsville, and Pittman Gateway are your options for fan vote football. Again, voting opens at 12 noon tomorrow and will close. I should say it opens at 12 noon tomorrow Eastern time on Instagram and Twitter, and it will close at 12 p.m. on Sunday. So make sure you get your votes in and make sure it counts, because those votes will be combined. Last year we actually had a runoff for one of our fan vote games. And it was very close, but Audubon and Paulsboro, Audubon, my alma mater, won that, and that was a game that went to overtime, 14-7, the only DWB football game in our 2-year history to go to an overtime period. Still a chance of that tonight if Kingsway can pull off an 11th hour miracle, but that just got a little more difficult. It's 3rd and short. Kingsway calls their second timeout. Clock is stopped with 2:55 remaining in the 4th quarter. If you've missed out on the action this evening, Washington Township got the scoring started early with a short touchdown by the Minutemen, and then they added on to get from Colin Beeler to get a 13-0 lead. At the tail end of the 2nd quarter, Cole DeNick, the sophomore for Kingsway, scored a touchdown to make it 13-7, and he added on another, including a 33-yard touchdown to give them the lead at 14-13. The reason why it's 21 is because Washington Township put 8 up on the board in the 4th quarter. They got a huge rush from number 5. I apologize, I didn't have my roster on hand, so I was caught off a little off guard. But Washington Township got a 44-yard run from the Minutemen, found the end zone, and they went for 2 and converted it with ease. That was Caleb Palagnus. Here we go, 3rd and short. 21-14, and the game is on the line. Township can ice it with a 1st down. He trips, he falls forward, and I don't think he got it. That was number 9, I think, the tight end Andrew Osborne. He kind of acted like a fullback on that play, where he wanted to use his strength to get extra yardage. Should be 4th and short. Yeah, people are just standing around it. I'm trying to figure out something, yeah. It is 4th and short. There's no measurement being made. They're at the... Yeah, now Township looks like they're calling a timeout. That was Mike Schatzman out there. He was just a little bit off camera, but he was talking to the officials in some manner. I didn't know what the debate was about, but nobody was even in a huddle. You saw the Washington Township. They were just kind of standing around and looking at their sideline. So.
The charge driven by Assistant Athletic Director, Mr. Jay Stanton.
I never would have thought to put golf carts for the homecoming queen. Never would have thought about that. I mean, like when I was in high school, we introduced our homecoming kings and queens in those sports cars that they drove onto the field. They had like the Corvettes. Anybody in town who owned a convertible, they were like, hey, we need you at this football game. But Kingsway celebrating their homecoming night. It is a packed house. It took me about 5 minutes to get down to the men's room down there just because, and the snack stand, because of how packed this place is. Offense is on the field. 4th down. Township burned a timeout. They're going to get it. They're going to ice the game. They're going to do more than that. Here it goes down the sideline. It's a touchdown, Township. Talk about icing the game. They deep froze it. Jalen Robinson into the end zone, and it's a touchdown. And Washington Township, for the third week in a row, will end up squeaking out of here with what may end up as a 14-point game, but I mean, you'd have to rewind the tape further to see how this played out. Here we go. It's up, away, and good. And Washington Township, with a minute 57, causes the crowd to leave en masse. We will take a very brief break here, 28-14, with under 2 minutes to play, here from Kingsway.
Doubleheader reached first on an error in the first at-bat of Game 2. This one's lined into center field. Slider going over. He dives. Did he make the catch? Yes, he did. Ryan Slider makes the catch. Not on a slide, but instead on a dive. 2 away.
Well, a lot of car lights have popped up in that parking lot behind the Washington Township grandstand. So, Vince, you and I are driving separate cars, but we're going to have to deal with that traffic together post-game. Here comes a squib kick that gets bobbled, and Kingsway will pick it up. I mean, it seemed like he had a firm grasp on it and then just fell away from him. But, you know, if you're Kingsway, this is a game that Washington Township was favored in. The last time they played each other, Washington Township won by 30. It really wasn't looking in Kingsway's favor. And yes, we can say Kingsway won the last 4 out of the 5 matchups prior to last year. But here's the thing. This isn't Major League Baseball where you can say, oh, the last 10 times they played each other, they won. Because the rosters, you know, reset every 4 years. So historically, it's hard to look at a matchup from 2018 and say, oh, Washington Township should win, because rosters change, coaches change. Ooh, that ball is caught by number 81, the tight end, Greg Campbell. And Kingsway, with the up-tempo offense, they have a minute 40 and counting, as Washington Township would improve to 6-2 going into their matchup next week versus Timber Creek. This one's another floater of a pass for a first down. That will stop the clock as they get it up to the 43. I mean, hey, you know, these guys are going to put in 110% until that clock hits zero. Now that the ball's in their hands, clock is still running at a minute 20. They've got a first down, but they have no timeouts, which they burned on that previous drive, in which they attempted to avoid icing the game. Caught, I believe, on the near sideline. They're going to say no, it was out of bounds. It was intended for J.D. Johnson. And Kingsway has had a very impressive season this year. You know, obviously in the moment, coaches are going to be a little upset about how this game turned out, because up until the fourth quarter, it looked like Kingsway was going to win it, and it just slipped away from them. But, you know, they have had some very impressive wins this year. Timber Creek, Delsea, Hamilton. Those are, especially Timber Creek and Delsea, those are not teams that people scoff at. They are very well-respected programs in high divisions, and that's why Kingsway is in a high division. They already matched their win total from last year. They were 6-5 under Hendricks in 23. They're maybe going to be 6-2 after tonight. Obviously, it affects your playoff seeding, but Kingsway is a very good team, and they should be treated as such even after the clock hits zero tonight. White gets the completion. It's third down. They have 50 seconds left, and the ball is spiked to bring up fourth down. 28-14. Don't forget, our next broadcast will be Saturday with Pennsgrove and Woodbury at 11 a.m. Pre-game show starts at 10:45. And then JUCO women's soccer between Fashion Tech and the Jaguars versus RCSJ and the Roadrunners. 2 o'clock on Sunday. We've got Timber Creek and Cumberland boys soccer at 6 o'clock on Tuesday. Seneca Willingboro on Thursday the 24th. That's a 7 o'clock kickoff. And our fan vote game on Friday the 25th. We're working on getting a game for Saturday the 26th, but that has not been determined. We'll let you know on our social media pages when that's finalized. 49 seconds left. It is picked off, and that's going to do it. This is going to go for a pick 6 from number 25 into the end zone. That is a cherry on top for Washington Township. He returns it upwards of 50 yards into the end zone. Ethan Binder. And the Minutemen just blew this game even further open when maybe they didn't need to, but
yeah, he saw that there.
He saw that gap and he got it. That's about 55 yards. That's his first career interception after 34 total tackles in his young career. So Washington Township's coaches, after the pick 6, starting to leave as well, as they know that their team is well on their way to their 6th win of the season. And a 5-2 start with 2 losses. 1 to Rancocas Valley last week. I mean, this is a exclamation point after. But like I said, you can look at the end of the third quarter on. Kingsway led 14-13. I think the score tonight is not reflective of how Kingsway played. It is up and good. So the pick 6 turns into a pick 7. And Washington Township is running away with this one. It is 35-14. We will be right back. In the winding minutes of this one, and in the winding seconds of this one in the fourth quarter, another squib kick gets past Kingsway, picked up by number 34, that being Calvin Lewis. And Kingsway will once again take over possession with 36 and a chunk of change left in the fourth. I mean, Kingsway just, you know, if they had won this game, whether it was 14-13 or otherwise, the storyline would have been the storyline would have been that it was a win, but it was a sloppy win, and that's never something that you want to go into the locker room thinking, man, we won that game, but we probably shouldn't have. And Washington Township very well could be thinking the same thing just because of the momentum that they had stripped away from them in the third quarter. Orovets takes it himself. He pump faked about 3 times and now scrambles out to the inner sideline. Clock stops at 26.8. It will be enough for a Kingsway first down. Again, from the left hash now, from the 41, 42, 43, somewhere in that ballpark. Orovets lets it fly. Over the head. Whole bunch of everything going on down there for number 81. That is Greg Campbell, who we haven't seen much of before this quarter, the senior. He's kind of the, from what I saw, he was throwing the ball around a lot with Orovets while they were on defense. Has 164 career receiving yards, 52 this year on 4 receptions. Orovets again letting it fly. He finds a man with space. They don't have any timeouts though. It is a first down. They move the ball to inside the 30. They've got 10 seconds left. Orovets calling their men to the line of scrimmage with great urgency. Township had an extra guy, but he didn't get off the field in time. That's a pick that'll do it. Clock hits 0. I was going to say, Washington Township, Kingsway snapped the ball when Washington Township had 12 men on the field. Hold on here. No, Township is on the 50, and they're telling him to come back out, I think. I mean, hey. Exactly, yeah. I didn't know if they were going to call that or not, but I saw at around the 15-yard line they were making a quick substitution, didn't make it in time, and Township had an extra man for about a half second there before he scrambled off the field. So they will have an untimed down. Yeah, it will be an untimed down. So that is allowing some of the spectators to get a head start. Washington Township 35-14. They would improve, or they will improve, to 6-2 after a upset loss to Rancocas Valley last week. And an upset 27-0. They got shut out at home. So this will be an untimed down to close out festivities on this Friday night. Orovets gets hit as he throws. Diving in the back of the end zone. It is a touchdown, Kingsway. It was caught in the end zone. And Greg Campbell picks up his first touchdown. And even though it doesn't mean much in the end, it will make that deficit a little bit shorter. And it's 35-20. I think that was the least exciting touchdown call I've ever had.
They're not going to go for anything.
They're not going to go for an extra point. That's the ball game. And the final score tonight will be 35-20. As this one wraps up from Kingsway at Tony Barchuk Field, and man, Washington get away, and I do not think they were going to be denied after that Rancocas Valley loss. They were angry. They were upset. They got hit on their home field, and now they return to the road and get themselves back in the win column. And you know what? I mean, that's a statement win for Washington Township. Yes, they were favored to win the game. There we go. Had to shut down the window there. yes, they were favored to win the game, but at the same time, Kingsway was not going to let them leave without a little bit of trouble. I mean, I honestly thought Kingsway was going to upset them again because they were winning in the fourth quarter after Washington Township, had everything going for them in the first half. That momentum team seemed to turn on a dime in the second half, and then it was until it wasn't. And Washington Township, like we said, if you're joining us here at the tail end of the broadcast, don't think that Washington Township dominated the whole night. It was 14-13 when everything was said and done, and Washington Township was able to, convert on that 8-point play, got into the end zone with Palagnas, and finally, broke through. It was 21-14, and we're thinking, all right, Kingsway's going to have another chance, and then they just didn't have it. That pick six, on what was the game-sealing drive ended up doing everything for them. And then they got another pick and another touchdown to seal the deal. So in reality, if you take out those two touchdowns, we're talking 21-20. And we're talking about a thriller of a game, but instead, Washington Township took it home, and they win by 15 tonight. So I don't know why the scoreboard says 22 because they didn't attempt a PAT. They didn't. Yeah, I was going to say it was 35-14, and then they scored 6. So somebody's math wasn't right there. But either way, Kingsway had some standout guys tonight. David Orovets did well. Take the the interceptions obviously were a problem, but his receiving core I don't think helped him out in the way that they could have. There's obviously no one name to point out, but the receiving core just ended up dropping a lot of balls. And like I said earlier, I think it was in the third or early fourth quarter, was that there's a difference in the game between an incompletion, whether it's an underthrow or an overthrow, and a drop. There were some passes that Kingsway should have caught, and that's where the frustration lies with the coaches, is that they know that this game was winnable. They know that this game was in their hands, and they had the chances, but they just didn't get it. And Washington Township, they saw vulnerabilities, they saw cracks in what they were able to accomplish, and then Kingsway capitalized on that until they couldn't. So I think for a player of the game, I feel like their entire rushing core, we'll see how the stats turn out in NJ.com, but pretty much everybody played a role. Colin Beeler is a name that comes to mind, along with Caleb Palagnas, or if you want to go with a safe bet, quarterback Colakino. But Washington Township's got a big game next week with Timber Creek, and Kingsway is Williamstown as well. So I'm excited to see what they can do, but both of these teams are at a critical juncture. They're both 6-2. They're now coming off of losses because Washington Township lost to Rancocas Valley last week, and then Kingsway lost to Washington Township, so on and so forth. So they're going into matchups with Williamstown being 1-6. Kingsway can probably win that game and finish the season with 7 wins and a home playoff berth. For Washington Township, the same is probably true. So it's going to be fun to see how that works out in the next week. Vince, your final thoughts on tonight?
Yeah, just looking at this game as a whole, going from the first half to the second half, we saw two completely different teams. You look at Washington Township coming off. They obviously didn't get that one PAT, which looked like it was going to hurt them. We looked at coming back in the second half. Kingsway, they switched the momentum, which is what they need to do. We talked about in the halftime. The big question was, can Kingsway turn this around and just completely change the momentum, which they did. They called short plays to get their quarterback back in a rhythm again, motion plays as well, which can help get your QB back in a good rhythm. The only problem was the discipline. The penalties were killing them. Right when Kingsway was getting some type of momentum, it would come back, and then the penalties, the false start, the holding calls would just take them back, kill their momentum, and Washington Township saw an opportunity where Kingsway was down. Every time their offense would come on the field, they would back themselves up. Washington Township saw a great opportunity. Their offense came in, didn't disappoint, and therefore as well, the defense didn't disappoint either. The defense was strong. We saw, the picks in general. So this was a well-played game. Yes, they had their moments where it was definitely a game where Kingsway could have won it. I'm not going to say it was a strong win 100% for Washington Township. Obviously, at the end it all kind of unraveled a bit for Kingsway. But this was a very even type of game. And right now, I'm just looking at it. Looking at Kingsway, this is something where, yes, it's disappointing that you kind of fell apart at the end, but it's not a game where I'd say you completely had a whole collapse the whole game. You came to play and you showed up.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes Kingsway so frustrated, is that they know that this game was winnable, and they know that they had a chance, but they just didn't get it. And, they don't care that they weren't favored against Washington Township. You know, We'll be done in a minute. But, they didn't care that they were not favored against Washington Township because they don't care if you're not favored by 60 points. If you can go out and win a ball game, you want to do that. And that's what makes Kingsway a little bit frustrated after tonight is that they know going into the fourth quarter, if those 12 minutes change in any way, shape, or form, Kingsway might be going out with a win tonight.
Yeah.
So that will be all for us tonight as Washington Township wins by 15. But I mean, just if you're just joining us now at the tail end of this broadcast and you rejoin in the third quarter, you can see how this game unraveled for Kingsway and how it could have been a one possession game, if that, if Kingsway had played just a little bit differently in the fourth quarter. From our entire crew